Hello, and welcome to the Excluto podcast, episode 1, with Anil Joshi, managing partner at Unicorn India Ventures. Really happy to have Anil Joshi here today. His role in the venture capital landscape and in his pivotal role at Unicorn India Ventures is going to be a really exciting conversation. I'm Vijay Rajendran, a Silicon Valley-based investor and advisor to startup companies, and here happy and delighted to be able to host today's podcast for Excluto. Today, we're going to be delving into Anil's journey, his passion for FinTech, startups, venture capital, and angel investing. So with that, I'd like to officially welcome Anil to our episode. Welcome, Anil.
Thanks, Vijay. I'm glad to be part of the first episode.
Superb. So just to begin, we'd love to get to know you a little bit better. Can you tell us about where you're from, where you grew
Oh,
up, and a bit about your education?
sure. So, Vijay, I'm born and brought up in Bombay, India, but my roots are in Rajasthan. Uh, Now I'm 50, so 50 years has been in Bombay. I'm by qualification, I've done engineering, mechanical undergrad, and postgraduate management and strategic finance and control. Uh, I started my career with a manufacturing setup immediately after my engineering, and then chose to go back to academics, did management, then got into leading textile company, joined as in sales function. Was heading sales office for 3 years, and then uh, moved back to Bombay post my wedding, and then got into consultancy. Post that, I was in chairman's office, and that led me to what I'm doing. Of course, we'll be discussing more in detail about it, but that's a bit about me.
Wonderful. Thanks for sharing that. And you've had such a great range of experiences. So thanks for setting the stage there. Um, I'd love for you to tell us a bit about your story into venture. And before we switch gears, I'll add that nothing we're discussing in today's podcast is financial or investment or accounting or legal or any type of business advice. We're here for purely informational and educational
Sure.
purposes. In that regard, your evolution as someone who's now a part of the startup landscape, coming from consultancy and working in the chairman's office of a major business, that's a really interesting story. Would love to know more about.
Sure, Vijay. So my entry into this world is accidental. I never had any plans or never thought of being here. Uh, I'm one of the early professional, maybe top 3 or 5 you can say in India who got into this space when industry was non-existent. And today I have spent almost 20 years being in this industry. So as I told, I started my career at a shop floor, did my management, got into sales function, did pretty well, but then moved back to Mumbai uh, to join a Scandinavian consultancy, which gave me opportunity to work with some very interesting personality in varied field. Uh, People coming from Denmark, Sweden, Finland, uh, and that actually exposed me to some very high-end technology. And after serving 2 years, I moved to chairman's office of a leading diagnostic company in India. And here, I got exposed to something beyond my normal academic expertise. So I got exposed to R&D, manufacturing, procurement, HR, finance, legal. Being in a chairman's office, every function had its own important in process to give inputs, for any decision making, and that exposed me to various functions of the organization. And from there I moved to uh, another big corporate having interest in telecom, IT, and energy. I joined Artheon Ventures, where I had a dual function. One was to assist group companies on new initiative, and the second role what I had there was making strategic investment in field of IT, energy, or telecom. And this I'm talking is early 2000, when there was nothing called startups in India. And we became in mid 2000, 2006, India saw germination of initial angel groups. Mumbai had Mumbai Angels, and Delhi had Indian Angel Network, and both the groups started same time, and we were the founding investor members of Mumbai Angels. So that led us participate there. But till this time, I was not to be part of Mumbai Angels. But since we had become member, and I was asked to at least participate in one meeting, and if we like, then we can continue. And that led me to attend the first meeting of Mumbai Angel, and then rest is the history. I landed up, leading Mumbai Angel as a president, helped grow it from ground and where it is today. Uh, I was uh, I was third employee, but I joined as a president to build the organization from grounds up. And during my tenure of 3-4 years, I helped investing over $20 million in some 65 odd companies. And some of the picks during that time are today's leading startup, in India. And 2014, I decided to move on and start my own. 15, I did my whatever documentation I have to do for registration, and 16 I started my first fund. That's the journey.
Yeah.
So I had no idea. It's basically started somewhere in early 2000, and 2015 I landed up starting my fund.
What a story, and what a pioneering role in those early days. Certainly, when people did not know what startups, as you said, necessarily look like.
So
Fast forward to today, um, and in particular, what's happening in this dynamic world of startup, particularly related to fintech that you've seized on lately.
it's very interesting, Vijay. So India is the largest country in world, with almost, I think, population base of around 16 to 18%.
Mhm.
It's large, consumer market, and at the same time, it's the fastest growing economy. Today, it's a fourth largest economy in world, heading toward $5 trillion economy by probably in this financial year. And it's a developing country, right? So combined, a very large consumer market base, fastest growing economy, and the developing economy is leading to a lot of opportunities. There are too many, things to be fixed. Too many, innovative stuff will get developed to serve this large population of the world. And if we look at, in fintech world, while India have one of the robust regulatory framework around banking, thanks to Reserve Bank of India, the central bank in country. However, country do have a lot of scope to meet needs of this young population. Uh, as you know, it's a large country as well. Every 40-50 kilometer dialect changes. 27 states and couple of union territories. So it's a very diversified uh, you know country. And if you have a vanilla approach, it's not possible. But today, with technology in place, the better connectivity, unlike a few years back, you know we had a fractured infrastructure.
Right.
Connectivity was not good, but now it's one of the best, cheapest available entire length and breadth. So that offers a very interesting that offers a very interesting opportunities to many tech companies to come out with solutions. So if I give you an example, Vijay, look at micro finance industry, right? I'm not sure of what's the modus operandi world over, but when you talk about this industry in India, you would have a lead manager who would go and form the groups, typically a group of around 6-10 people with whom money can be lended. Once that's done, then they make file for each of them, go back to office, get necessarily analysis done, and it is approved, and then it is disbursed. This loan amount could be anywhere around 10,000, 50,000, and then based upon the tenure, the collection happens physically. Right now, you can imagine how much touch point is there for sourcing, then executing, and then collection. And we had invested in one company, which is Smartcoin, and that is actually into micro lending. And this company lends anything around 1,000 rupees to 10,000. Now they've started doing 50,000. So as low as $10, if you can look at, or maybe
Yeah.
slightly over $10. uh, Today they are lending to almost 100,000 plus people, right?
Yeah.
And to do this lending, Vijay, not a single person move out of office. Everything is done digitally, and it's done across length and breadth of the country. They have the lowest NPA and is a profitable. Now you see the power of technology. Of course, since we all talk about AI and ML and generative AI and all this, but this technology is good if we have data,
Yeah.
right? And this company has ensured that they kept on building their data and use every possible deviation for improvising the product. Today, one of the best company, growing quite rapidly. So that's the potential we see in finance world. And I'm sure there would be many more examples which we can talk about in finance industry. But that's what it is. India being a diverse country, large consumer base, developing, growing, everything is going in
Yeah.
its right.
I think that's an important insight. A lot of people say the economy is growing. We have, businesses like Geo creating connectivity. You have other card with
Yeah,
identity. You've got UPI, but businesses and startups themselves have to think about what will they have in terms of their own data. How are they
correct,
growing that data, and how is that going to be valuable to them in the future?
correct, correct.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that example, and certainly it's impactful for the unbanked and underbanked.
Sure.
Yeah. When you think about the current trends and challenges to the startup landscape, um, if you could uh, if you could wave a wand and change something, if there's a trend that you wish would accelerate even faster, what would that be?
It's growing very fast, Vijay. Uh, if I give you some analogy, when I started my fund, I'm not talking about the angel investment per se, but
Hmm.
Of course, I can even share that. So in 2006, both these groups started with a handful of people. When I took up the role of president, I think the total number of investors between two group was 100, if I'm not wrong. I think slightly plus minus here. So 2006 till 2010, both the groups could only attract some 100 odd investors.
Mhm.
Fast forward today, from 2010 today 2024, I think we would have more than 100,000 or maybe much more. I'm talking about the organized groups, which have angel, as a registered member. So from 100 to 100,000, that's the growth. I started
Amazing.
my fund in 2015. If I'm correct, I think we were fourth or fifth fund, which applied for registration and license. Fast forward 2024, I think there are around 380 funds. uh, I think almost $4 billion would have come in this industry. Than what it was a mere small change
Mhm.
those days when I started, right? So from that perspective, I think it has grown very fast. And as you know, Vijay, when things grow very fast, there are very limited scope for some right policy framework. So India is actually going through its own growth bank.
Yeah.
We are seeing every quarter there are some regulatory additions to make this more robust, more acceptable, uh, considering uh, the connectivity and the country earlier had a challenge of underbanked, non-banked, right, unbanked population, but now it's no more the case. People may not be transacting, but still they have a bank account.
Mhm.
So it has actually have made India a very large market. Things are growing much faster, than it could. I think the only couple of things I wish, which probably and government is doing that. I think it will be wrong on my part that it's that they are not doing. But thing is that the industry is growing very fast today. Startup world is a significant contributor to GDP, and cannot be ignored. So government is also equally keen to help shape up this industry, right? I think a few things I would like is that there are because most of the startup, when I talk to potential investor, I say we invest in futuristic. We don't know whether that particular venture will work or not. But thing is that once it works, and like as you know that India is a large market, it grows rapidly.
Mhm.
And then there's a need of framework, there's a need of policy, there's a need of, because you cannot have something work in unregulated and
Right.
the free way. Just to ensure that it is done right way, consumers are protected. You need certain guidelines. So I
Mhm.
think one thing I would wish that there is faster mechanism, both in terms of investors, or in terms of startups, or in terms of regulator. If it can sink in, I think we'll see much faster growth than what we are seeing today. India is today the third largest startup country, but I think soon we're expecting it to be number two.
Absolutely, and behind that growth is going to be more people coming into the market, not just to form startups, but also invest. That has to be the other side of the coin. Certainly, there are angels, and you've formed one of the most well-known angel groups itself. But there will be people who just want to, for the first time, understand this asset class and probably start to get to know what are the the attractions or interests in investing in VC. So what is it that uh, is attractive to the new generation of high net worth individuals and accredited investors who are learning about venture capital for the first time?
So Vijay, you know, I think in world number speaks louder,
Mm-hmm.
right? If we look at last 10 years, India, Nifty return. Nifty is the benchmark, which indicates, what people have made, by investing in stock market. The last 10 years, the average return in Nifty is 13%.
Mm-hmm.
And if we talk about our industry, PEVC industry, in the last 10 years, same period, the return is 26%.
Mm-hmm.
Is exactly double than Nifty,
Mm-hmm.
and Nifty itself is considered to be one of the best return generating platform. Now, an asset class which gives you exactly double of what is potentially considered to be one of the best returning investment platform, I think cannot get ignored for quite a long. And considering the vulnerability, because this asset class is typically for sophisticated investors, while in Western market, these investors are very well defined accredited investors, what we call
Mm-hmm.
certain net worth. But in India, there is nothing called accredited investors. In India, the accredited investor is just to provide them certain flexibility, but it doesn't make them eligible for investment, non-investment like in Western world, right? So if you look at the growth, actually has attracted many investors. Now, this asset class is very different, very unique, and unless until you are aware about the nuances of it, there is a chances that you may lose your entire wealth, right? Though I haven't come across any investor who have taken calculated approach have lost money, but of course there is a
Mm-hmm.
possibility, right? I just take one
That's the
bet
risk.
and I lose entire thing. So I remember in during my Mumbai Angel days, I had one investor who was member of Mumbai Angel for only 6 months. He had made one investment, and that one investment Vijay gave him return of 6x in 6 months, and he never turned back. He took his exit, never came back. I think he would always would probably would say that he has one of the best time. And I still remember there was an investor who used to take larger bets. He would never do small stuff.
Mm-hmm.
His typical check would be anywhere around, and those days it was a quite a good sum. Anything around $100,000 plus.
Yeah.
Now every single opportunity, typically you would see the angel investors would not write more than $10,000-$20,000, right, as a
Mm-hmm.
partner. But
Mm-hmm.
this gentleman would write a single check of 100,000 plus. And I think what I saw that he had made some around 4 or 5 bets during my tenure of 4 years, and some of his bets went down. Now recovering this kind of money from balance, is challenging. Of course, he made money. One of his investors, uh, because he played calculated, he could recover his money. So the point to drive is that it needs a kind of patience. It needs some learning. It needs to sensitize with the risk associated. So I think knowing this one fact, as I told, every stakeholder, be it startup or investor or regulator, need to speed up the process. So I had been doing Vijay for I think almost now 7 8 years. I regularly take sessions for HNIs,
Mm-hmm.
sensitizing about this. Happy to share that even state governments, in respective state would do this kind of sessions for their population. Interestingly, the central government, the central government has also understood the importance, and they are currently driving a program which basically is fewer workshop, where
Mm-hmm.
they invite experts, diversified people, who go and share their wisdom, knowledge, and help people get sensitized with the
Yeah.
world. I was
And what
part
is
of.
And what are some of the topics that they cover in those workshops?
So these are typical, angel workshop, which talks about selection of companies,
Hmm.
which talks about how to resonate with group. It talks about if you're a solo investor, what care should be taken. It talks about risk associated with it. It talks
Hmm.
about portfolio building. It talks about how to monitor investment, exit,
Hmm.
and also helping portfolio companies in business or further investment, right? So it's a complete, I'll say, instant food type package. It's not a full 6 month course, but try to give a flavor to potential investor in 4 or 5 hours workshop.
I see.
So it's a very interesting format. In fact, we as a central government program, we did it in 4 places, 4 metros, but now objective is to take it to the entire length and breadth of the country. So I think uh, government also understand the nuances of this, and uh, knowing the fact that this is going to grow very fast, I think it's better if people are sensitized. They can be also part of this growth story, right? So it's a complete half a day kind of package, which helps people interact with stalwarts or experts in the industry, hear their thoughts, and then also have an interactive session, right?
That's really exciting to see, particularly as as you identified, there's a role for HNIs, for high net worth individuals and families in supporting the growth of the Indian startup ecosystem and the economy, and how it will continue to transform in the future.
Yeah,
Sort of flipping a little bit from the investor to the entrepreneur, when you look at today's new entrepreneurs, um, do you have any advice for them, and how they're engaging with, meeting, and interacting with investors?
sure. So very interestingly, I see, you know mostly this is for first generation entrepreneur. And Vijay, very interestingly, India have a very wide age group for this first time entrepreneur.
Yeah,
I have seen somebody starting his first venture at the age of 62, and have also seen somebody starting first venture at the age of 18,
that's brilliant.
right? So this is a very wide you know range. And of course, the people who have bit of experience probably would have bit maturity, but for younger, I think their passion and their zeal to do something is much more higher than compared to the rest of the ability to support their venture. So my two suggestion to all entrepreneurs, which whatever the age group they may be, one, never ever hesitate to look for somebody who can be part of your sounding board. It not necessarily to be officially on board, but is considered to be an advisor, mentor.
Mm-hmm.
And keep changing your mentors, because a kindergarten teacher cannot teach you science,
Yeah.
and a primary school teacher cannot teach you legal, right? So everybody would have their own role to play. So keep looking for one whom you can always go and rely on, and basis your requirement, keep looking for good people, right? That's one. Second, equity is one of the most expensive instrument for any founder.
That's right.
And Vijay, I've seen, because of lack of experience, people land up diluting initially, which make the entire cap table slightly messy. I would suggest that.
And for people who may not be familiar, the cap table represents ownership of the company. And by messy, you mean there's so many different owners, and there's not much more room for the for the founder to sell more of their business to new investors?
Thanks, Vijay. So I would suggest that before taking any decision to dilute yourself, do your homework,
Yeah.
do it right way. Plus minus 5% is always okay, but not
Hmm.
plus minus 20-30%, right?
Right.
So I would suggest, because I'm just investing in a company and the founding team is diluted to an extent that you cannot overvalue any venture beyond a point, right? That's also a big challenge. As an investor, I can still give some premium, but I cannot give only premium, right? So these are the two things. I think rest, as people grow, they find a lot of learnings themselves, but
Hmm.
having a good mentor advisor, who can support your initial growth, and being careful about equity dilution will always be helpful to
Hmm.
startups.
That seems like really good advice. Don't give away too much of your company, and if you're an investor, don't pay too much of a premium for it.
Yeah.
And it seems like that advice of surrounding yourself with smart advisors, experienced people, is very important for both new entrepreneurs and for new investors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, this has been a great conversation, Anil. I want to take a moment to just kind of wrap it all together, because there have been a number of important takeaways. You know, one, that the market has changed a lot, and it is accelerating, and it is good, and it is evolving very quickly. You mentioned there's this opportunity for high net worths to play a big role, but there's a focus and an effort by folks like yourself, by leaders in government, central government, to promote more education and awareness of this subject and how to participate.
So you look at, even you know uh, Excluto also is trying to do something similar,
Hmm.
but it's more about a private session. uh, One thing is very certain, that the next decade is probably India's decade, and that startups will have a lot of flavor. Even if you look at today's statistics, I think more money is flowing in India, startup, than anywhere else in the world, right? Reason being, fastest growing, good opportunity, large consumer market, and stable government policies. All this is making India more stable compared to rest of the world. One thing which goes in India's favor is 1.4 billion population, right? Which is very difficult to ignore for any smart investor. So certainly, it's uh, fastest growing market. We are quite vocal about that. This one decade, probably India will generate a lot of opportunities for people to make wealth in this space. My suggestion is that yes, it will be difficult to ignore. You can ignore only at your peril, but this is a very different class of asset from investors perspective. So it's looks very good that I want to do everything. I want to be control of my destiny. I
Hmm.
have no uh, suggestion on that, but I would say, like, you can always play with your own money, but learn and then play. But
Hmm.
wherever you think you don't have time, you don't have expertise, and you still want to be part of this as a class, then certainly look for fund managers whom you can resonate, and be part of that growth journey than you doing yourself. I've seen many times people miss out because they don't understand this as a class,
Hmm.
and since they don't understand, they don't make any effort to look at who can do for them. When I started, I like in 2015, there were only 4 5 fund managers, but today you have choice of 380 plus maybe 400 by the time you decide, right? So it's very fast growing. India, Vijay, if you look at, my estimate says that the domestic money is not more than 20%. right? What does that mean? That approximately 70 to 80% money is still coming from outside,
Right.
and that is fueling the the growth and performance of startup. If this statistics doesn't excite investor, then you are losing only at your own peril, right? So uh, there's the opportunity.
Mhm.
Nobody is forcing you. At the same time, nobody is stopping you to look at the right opportunity. So great times. Don't miss out this opportunity. If you can do it yourself, nothing like it. But not, then look for good fund managers.
Super. And how can people follow you or Unicorn on social media or elsewhere? Where's a good place
So
to find you?
I'm very much available on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
I'm also there on Twitter. I think even Unicorn is there on LinkedIn and on Twitter, so people can look for me or
Perfect.
Unicorn, and would love to be having the increasing follower base.
Exciting. Yes, absolutely. And I'm hoping that and expecting that will be the case.
Sure.
We're going to have to leave it there. Anil, this has been such a positive and exciting conversation about past, present, and future of the venture landscape, and unpacking your insights from your experience. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Vijay. I enjoyed my conversation. You fairly navigated, all past, present, and future. So glad to be part of this first podcast. I really enjoyed. Thank you very much.
Delighted. Thank you.
Bye.